So for Greek government, probability of default is pretty low over the next 5 years. So it makes a big difference. And but let's look at the historical data. Where's the graph? You don't even have it here, but this is April 2017. CDS for Greek bonds was 841 basis points. Of course, these were different, but I'm going to pretend that they weren't. So market was assuming about 45% chance that Greek government could default. You guys know what was going on those days? Uh, Things got really bad. Let's see if we can get a longer yield. Since it's in euros anyway. Let's get the max. The yield on Greek bonds were about 15% those days. 2008 crisis had serious effect on smaller economies that were in the euro, because if you're not controlling your own currency, you can't depreciate your way out of it. And quite a bit of Greece's revenues are based on things like in tourism industry. But you can't depreciate your own currency. On the other hand, you have a competitor right across the Sea of Islands, as we call it, or the Aegean Sea, Turkey. Turkey could have depreciated, and they did depreciate their own currency, which means in dollar terms, they became cheaper. So a lot of tourism ended up going to Turkey instead of Greece. So Greece was actually about to default. European Central Bank pretty much intervened, and they bought all sorts of Greek bonds from the market, close to 200 billion euros, something like that. That's why these things came down. For example, let's look at Spain CDS. That's a different CDS. Current is 50 basis points. Let's look at the historical chart. It was, this is around COVID times. It went high a little bit, but before 2017, it was even higher. I just can't get the data here. Similarly, Italian CDS. Italian CDS is much higher than Spain, for example. So 1 point. So market sees that Spain has about 6% probable. Italy has a 6% probability of defaulting over the next 5 years. On the other hand, that's the Spanish one. On less than 3%. So market thinks it's Italy is twice as likely to default over the next 5 years compared to Spain. If you know anything about the Italian economy, there is very high debt to GDP ratio in Italy. And remember, Italy is also in euro. So they can't simply depreciate their way out of it. On the other hand, look at CDS for Iceland. I don't know if they have it. If you had Bloomberg terminals, you could have gotten these rather easily. Apparently not much. Let's look at Ireland. 2649, it's even less. But let's see what it was historically. They were much higher, but if you went back towards 2010-11, they were even much higher because Ireland again had an issue with not being able to depreciate their way out of it, but Iceland did. But I can't get CDS for Iceland. You can also see the correlation of treasury spreads. You know, CDS for Spain is about 50 basis points. CDS for Italy is about 110. Let's look at the treasury yields for them. Spanish bonds. Currently 5-year 3147. Compared to Germany. Five-year is 2496. So Bunds, which is the German for bonds. So these things are correlated. Italian 5-year yields are. So about so it's roughly double. So if you know kind of the ratio of the CDS spreads, if you want to do kind of back of the envelope calculation, you can say, okay, spread over somewhat riskless asset, in this case, uh, German bonds, is about double as well. So using the same logic, let's find out about Iceland yield curve. There's the reason I want to talk about Iceland. Oh, that's Iceland Euro bonds. Apparently we don't have it. No. Remember, Iceland is not in euro. They have a currency called Icelandic kroner.